All four of these men were all found guilty of committing voter fraud in the 2020 election. The gentleman in the upper left, he's a Republican from Nevada. His wife died several years ago. He nevertheless filled out her ballot and cast it in the presidential election. He then participated in efforts with the Nevada Republican Party to claim that his dead wife's ballot being cast in the election must mean there was mass voter fraud by Democrats. He is the one who cast his dead wife's ballot. He's a Republican. He got caught. He was sentenced to probation. That's the guy in the upper left. Guy in the upper right, he's a Republican elected official from Ohio. In his case, it was his father who died, and he cast his dead father's ballot in the 2020 election. That Ohio Republican official was sentenced to a grand total of 3 days in jail. Keep going clockwise. The gentleman on the lower right, he's from Pennsylvania. In his case, it was his mother who had died. He nevertheless cast her ballot for Donald Trump in the 2020 election. He was caught. He got probation. And then the last guy, lower left there, he's another Pennsylvania Republican whose mother also died. Apparently he couldn't help himself. He cast a ballot in her name in the 2020 election. He got caught. He got probation. That's what those guys have in common. Now this is Pamela Moses of Memphis, Tennessee. This week, Ms. Moses was also sentenced for a crime related to her efforts to vote in the 2020 election. Ms. Moses had a felony conviction in Tennessee that legally resulted in her not being allowed to vote again in that state. But she says that nobody ever told her that that particular conviction meant that she couldn't vote. And her county elections board admits in writing that despite her conviction, they never actually took her off the voting rolls. A probation officer with the Tennessee Department of Corrections even wrote her a note, filled out an official certificate saying that Ms. Moses was eligible to vote. Ms. Moses turned in that certificate from the probation officer along with her voter registration application. And for that grave crime, she was just sentenced in Tennessee. What was her sentence? She got 6 years in prison. That has just happened this week in Tennessee. What's the big difference between Pam Moses in Tennessee and all those other guys who actually cast illegal ballots in the name of relatives they definitely knew were dead? All of those guys got probation, in one case 3 days in jail. She got 6 years in prison for trying to register to vote after she had received an official certificate from the probation department telling her it was okay if she registered to vote. 6 years in prison is her sentence. Seriously.